there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return?
The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong covering for Patrick Christys. Tonight,
you came to this country via France, where you spent years people smuggling. You led one of the biggest people smuggling networks. We know your past.
That's right, a convicted people smuggler known as the godfather of the Calais migrant camps. Well, he's been found living in Britain. Plus, one of Rochdale's most notorious grooming gang leaders was released from jail today. But the government says it's powerless to deport him. Is that the truth? Also tonight,
the original sentence was handed down on the 21st of May 2026. It left us questioning whether the criminal justice system really serves victims.
Yeah, 2 teenage boys are handed 4-year sentences for raping 2 girls after a judge's decision to initially let them walk, of course, sparked outrage. Plus,
children's lives in danger. They play freely round the estate. That has to stop. We leave our doors open because we all know each other. They'll have to be locked. Women walk down the fields with the dogs happily. That'll have to stop.
We're going to go back to Shropshire, with Stoke Heath, that is, where locals are terrified about plans to move more than 80 asylum seekers into a new housing development. Well, they've gathered for a crunch meeting, and the start of this month has been dubbed Death Day. That's after deaths overtook births for the first time. Shocker, that one. On my panel tonight, broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Reform UK councillor Russell Quirk and former Labour advisor Matthew Larzer. Oh, and is this the most popular thing Keir Starmer's ever done?
We're making sure that pubs can stay open on Monday morning, early on Monday morning, for the England game. So I know lots of people are making their plans.
Four years in prison for raping a teenage girl. That's what 2 boys who were handed extremely lenient non-custodial sentences have just had passed down to them by the Court of Appeal. Is that it? 4 years. These boys, who are 15 years old, took it in turns to rape a poor 14-year-old girl after she became separated from her friends, and even filmed their sick attack and shared it on social media. It wasn't the first time they'd done it either. They were repeat offenders. They're nasty little pieces of work, those boys. And let me be honest, they are old enough to know what they were doing, aren't they? What kind of message does this sentence send the British public? A weak criminal justice system that judges the severity of a crime based on the age, ethnicity or race of the perpetrator. And if you think I'm joking about that, think again. Because it seems now, if you're a white British person, you're going to get a tougher sentence than others. Because the woke-infected Crown Prosecution Service is set to double down further on its regime of 2-tier injustice. They're going to introduce a new requirement for all prosecutors to consider unconscious bias before charging ethnic minorities. So let's be clear what this is. It is a racist policy that's going to discriminate against white British people. It's the same kind of racism that I believe led to the disgusting treatment of that poor innocent boy, Henry Novak, by Hampshire police. And here's what the result of all of this looks like. Are you white? Have you raped a girl, or maybe even raped 2 girls, and happen to be 15 years old? Well, that's just 4 years max in prison, probably out in half, despite the fact you are clearly a monster. Now, let's add in some more tick boxes to this exercise. If you're let's say, a so-called child refugee from Iran, not white, of course, and rape a 14-year-old girl, let's not even bother with a non-custodial sentence. You're the victim here, really, aren't you? Let's just put you in consent classes for punishment. That is a real sentence passed down by a judge and a real case in Britain. That is how broken our system is. It now seems the justice system to be governed by a hierarchy of racism and DEI tick boxes. How on earth can anybody say our system isn't completely broken? Should we get the thoughts of my panel? Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Reform UK Deputy Leader at Essex County Council Russell Quirk, and former Labour advisor Matthew Larser. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Linda, I'll start with you. This sentence today, this 4-year sentence for these 2 boys, in my opinion, as you've just heard, is ridiculously lenient. They are repeat offenders.
Yeah, and if you take into account the 3 months I think they've already served, I don't know whether that's in custody, but they've been in the pipeline for those 3 months, that'll be deducted from the 4 years, and they're not likely to serve more than 2.5 years anyway, so they could be out in 2 years. Now, to my mind, 2 years, 4 years probably isn't enough for the boys, because those were particularly horrible rapes. They were planned. They were 2 separate incidences. Those girls clearly terrified. One of them ended up suicidal.
Yeah.
We have to start thinking about this, because, you know, you can't complain about masculine toxicity, etc., without coming down on it really hard.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think when Keir Starmer came up with this plan to start teaching stuff in primary schools, you know, after the drama adolescence went out, I think that's just a poor idea. Once you start wasting time trying to teach teenagers about stuff and how to respect women and how to be, you know, an anti-misogynist or whatever, I think that is a waste of time. I think people understand a good, strong, clear signal when a case like this happens. They simply understand that you cannot be, I mean, to say disrespectful is to put it so mildly, but you simply cannot brutalise women this way.
Russell, the thing is, that girl, her whole life is going to change. No, not just her, the one before her as well. And collectively, 8 years between the 2 boys, 4 each. We know how weak the system is. They'll be out in half, won't they? I understand they're children, but they're repeat offenders. In this case, justice, to me, hasn't been delivered.
I think if you're old enough to rape someone, you're old enough to know better, but also to serve a significant amount of time. Because what message does it send otherwise? Not just to the perpetrators, and insofar as then what it effectively encourages them to do thereafter, because, of course, look, soft touch means that that almost enables them to go on to the next stage of their criminality. But what about the victims here? What on earth does it say to them and to their parents, their families, their friends, that their lives, their dignity isn't worth much? It's not worth enough to have their perpetrators serve a proper sentence. And also, look, let's be clear when it comes to the politics. You can talk about these kids being children. They're not far off, from a Labour perspective, voting age.
Yeah, 1 year.
If they're old enough to vote and they're old enough to rape, they're old enough to go to prison for a very, very long time. What is it with our judiciary? It's Judge Nicholas Rowland, I think, who gave the original sentence, the non-custodial sentence. What is it with these idiots, these liberal loonies on the bench that, you know, are lily-livered and woke, to say the least? No wonder Britain's going to hell in a handcart.
And it has to be said, had they been adults, the sentence, according to the sentencing guidelines, probably would have been at least 10 years.
Matthew, do you think the sentence was too lenient?
Well, I think the system has worked in this case because
really?
I agree. Yes, because I agreed that let's just look at what has happened. The original sentence was clearly shockingly lenient to, I think, not just our sensibilities, but I think to anybody reading about it. The government rightly thought the sentence was too lenient. Obviously, the government doesn't sentence people. The judiciary does. It has gone back to the Court of Appeal, who have carefully gone through the evidence. Yes, of course.
Matthew,
if you hear that, Alex, if you hear that headline, they sound like short sentences. None of us have heard all of the evidence. I'm confident that it having been reviewed by the Court of Appeal, that they have reached the right conclusion. Now, there may be wider questions about the age of criminal responsibility, about the length of the sentencing guidelines, which have probably been in place for decades for younger people, and all those. But in terms of how, because I think sometimes we can be so cynical about the system, and the systems don't work.
Matthew,
but in this case, it has worked.
I'm cynical because these boys have raped 2 girls. They put it on social media, one of them, at least from what I can gather, what was spoken about in court, humiliated this girl to her peers. 4 years. I mean, they'll be out before they're even 20.
They'll be out after 2.
They'll be out after 2.
Yeah.
On top of that as well, what message does it send to other boys who are ill-minded like this?
I agree, but Matthew's made a very good point there. I've covered literally hundreds of court cases, and sometimes when you actually sit in court and you hear everything, you have to shift your perspective a little. But one thing I will say about these girls is, apart from the actual rape, which is just truly horrifying for both girls, they know that those images have probably gone out onto the internet now and will never go away.
But hang on,
and that is terrible.
But doesn't that further accentuate the crime itself?
It does, that's what I'm saying.
There's one indignity and one crime, which is the rape of minors. And by the way, statutory rape, these girls are also under 16, so even more serious. It's effectively paedophilia. That's what it is, even though the perpetrators are under 16. But to then video it and publish it...
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm sure there's a legal term, but let's just say rubbing salt in the wounds of...
And I think there may well be a case...
I just want to put this to you, Matthew, as well, because you said the system worked. Well, what happened was there was public outrage at that first sentence. That sentence, the first one, should never have been handed down in the first place. If there was a media attention on this, the government wouldn't have been forced to intervene. The government shouldn't have to intervene in the judicial system in order for the right laws the right sentence to be passed. The system is broken. And on top of that, we've just heard today, and that's one of the next things I wanted to move on to, is that the CPS is going to basically tell prosecutors, think about unconscious bias when you're doing this. Do they... We've just seen the case of Henry Novak, where these sorts of guidelines have led to police officers, in my opinion, treating this young lad differently.
So, look, let's just unpack those. On the system working, there are always going to be examples when judges get it wrong. Judges are human. It is right that there is a system in place that when the mistakes are made, or when it appears that mistakes are made, that they can then be reviewed. And I think that system works in this place. I mean, look, I'm not Lord Hermer's #1 fan. I don't think anybody else here is even less of a fan of Lord Hermer, the Attorney General, than me. But he referred it back, and the system has worked.
Yeah, I'm glad
a sentence has now been passed. I just think, on what Russell was saying...
I'm not criticising Lord.
No, I know you're not.
The right
no, absolutely. But what I'm saying is there are always going to be... there has to be a system that allows you to review cases, because there are always going to be mistakes made. Now, maybe there are too many mistakes. Maybe there's stuff about judicial training that needs to be looked at. I think what Russell was saying about the aggravation of the crime by the filming of it, I suspect the law hasn't kept pace with technology. And maybe that should be an aggravating offence.
The other case that I brought up in the monologue, just a contrast, where there was a child refugee, a so-called child refugee from Iran, who had been given a consent lesson after a rape. That was his sentence. That sort of stuff worries me, particularly when we hear from the head of the CPS, or the CPS's guidelines are going to include unconscious bias as part of their prosecution. That shouldn't play a part. Why is it that anyone's race or skin colour should play a part in how a judgment is passed down?
Well, I mean, Where judges are concerned, they are seen to be almost impervious to any influence. That's why the contempt law exists to the point at which a verdict is brought in.
Yeah.
But once the judge is in charge, they're seen as difficult to influence.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be influenced at all. It's surprising when they are. Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult to prove when they're influenced, but certainly where this judge is concerned, I cannot imagine what was going through his mind that allowed him to make a non-custodial sentence. Can I say, the third boy concerned was probably only 12 or 13.
Yeah, by the sound of it.
Now, he didn't get a custodial sentence, even when the case was reviewed. But you've really got to question what's going on in society that means a 12 or a 13-year-old boy, whatever level of intelligence he's at, is going around and being involved in the rape of a teenage girl. Yeah. It's horrifying.
But now what we're faced with is number crunchers, effectively, in Whitehall, in charge of the judiciary, that now, despite the fact that, look, we know that different people from different cultures behave in different ways, right? That's just a matter of fact. Not all cultures are the same. So this kind of expectation that outcomes for all people from all nationalities, from all cultures and so on, despite the fact that perhaps the data might show differently. So, for instance, people from Somalia and Eritrea and Afghanistan, when they're here, are more likely to commit certain types of offences than the indigenous population. That's just a matter of fact. So it shouldn't surprise us, therefore, if there are more people from, let's say, Somalia, Eritrea or Afghanistan in prison for rape. What the woke-washing tribe here are trying to do is to say, well, we can't have that, because that then is a real problem for those that, of course, are for the whole all refugees are welcome type thing, in that it then demonstrates that not all immigration is equal, Matthew, and as a consequence, we need to do something about that at the point of entry. But
well, I mean, I agree with you.
Whitehall here are going to attempt to have this proportionality. So the amount of people in prison for rape, sexual offences, burglary is the same. That's not what of your colour, your race, or your.
I agree with you. If that was what they were doing, that would show a stunning naivety. What they're actually doing is saying that if you, this is the CPS, the people who charge when reviewing the evidence, they're saying that people for the same crime from different ethnic groups are being charged more than others. So what they're not setting targets. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Is that then they're not saying that they have to. They're not telling the prosecutors you have to charge fewer people. They're saying let's just apply an unconscious bias test here. Let's just do another layer because they already examined the evidence. Let's just do another layer of examination and just in a sense check your homework. And I think that's okay.
The notion that the CPS are racist, rather than the other way round, which is probably disproportionately woke, is for the birth.
Well, it is if more people who are committing the same crime from different ethnic groups are being charged with it. Not saying that all ethnic groups commit crimes in the same way, but if it's the same crime, same person, one is white, one is non-white, and one is non-white is more likely to be charged, there is something wrong in the system.
All right, we've got to leave it there. We've got to leave it there. I mean, look, I'm just getting sick of it all. I'm just getting sick of the tick boxes. I just feel like we're building a system that is designed to inflame more problems in the country rather than building a fair judiciary. I just don't understand. And these cases are just exploding everywhere at the moment. It's a disaster. Crown Prosecution Service spokesman said this: the proposed changes aim to ensure that there is no bias in CPS decision-making, no matter who the suspect is, so that everyone is treated the same, charging decisions are fair, and suspects and victims get the justice they deserve. The current evidence shows that white British people are less likely to be charged for the same offence than people from most other backgrounds. OK, coming up.
Why are you claiming asylum? Why do you want to be in Britain?
I've been here for a long, long time.
Yeah, why? Why do you want to be in this country?
Well, the godfather of Calais migrant camps, well, he's been caught living in Britain. Can you believe it? He's also claiming asylum and working illegally. How much longer can we go on like this? And trust me, when you hear how much money he's made from his disgusting trade, your mind's going to blow. But before that, Nigel Farage is under fire again, isn't he? While there are more fresh accusations about his housing arrangements. That's on top of the investigation over a £5 million gift. It was the outrage over the Reform UK leader justified? We've got a really spicy head-to-head for you. That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain,
with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Some breaking news to bring you now. The Home Office officials have said the current arrangements to move further migrants into the estate in Stoke Heath over the next few days have been put on hold. That's according to local MP Mark Pritchard. I'm just going to repeat that for you. Big victory here for local people. Breaking news. The Home Office have said current arrangements to move further migrants into the estate in Stoke Heath over the next few days. That's the place dubbed Migrant Street, by the way. Well, they've been put on hold, according to local MP Mark Pritchard. Well, I was there, of course, the other day, just yesterday, talking to those people. They were terrified what was going on there, and it is a very small, and they call it themselves not a town, it's a hamlet. That's how small it is, just a few hundred people there with, well, it would have had up to 80 migrants living in brand new 250 grand housing. This is a very sensible decision. It's right next to a child's park. It literally sits adjacent to it. That was part of the major concern locals had. And I heard Shabana Mahmood today, the Home Office also came out saying we shouldn't be putting migrants near these parks for kids. So it makes sense that this has been stopped. It just, lots of people will be asking the question, won't they? Why has this happened now? Is it because of the media outrage? And I'm claiming this a victory for local people. This is a victory for everyday British people. So well done to those local people there. They actually told me they have a party if they got a victory there, so I'll have a chat to them. It is on hold. It hasn't officially been cancelled, but we'll see how that gets on. Of course, Jack Carson is there for us. Very soon we're going to go and hear from him as to what's been going on in that local crunch meeting they were having. All right, look, before all of the big head-to-head, we've got a brand new Great British giveaway to give you. Here's all the details you're going to need to enter.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or demand. Good luck.
All right, over to our head-to-head. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage is once again in the spotlight after it emerged that only 2 of his 5 homes are declared. According to The Times, Mr Farage owns at least 5 properties with his partner, including his former marital home in Kent with his ex-wife, 2 beachfront properties on the Kent coast and a 5-bedroom home in Surrey and his constituency home in Clacton. But only 2 of those are declared on his parliamentary register of interests. Although a spokesman for Reform said that Mr Farage had consulted with the parliamentary authorities over which of his properties to declare and had been assured that they were satisfied with his arrangements. It will heap pressure on the MP for Clacton, won't it, who's already under investigation for an undeclared £5 million gift. Well, speaking to GB News last week, Mr Farage insisted he'd done nothing wrong.
Got a gift from the same donor, all right? And it's with standards, and we'll see what they judge. I've done nothing wrong. And by the way, interesting, isn't it? No one ever asks me about the fact that as an MP, I have claimed 0 personal expenses in 2 years. I never get asked that. Funny, isn't it?
And so it was a thank you gift for Brexit Day, is that what it was for?
Whatever his motives
for
were.
Security.
Whatever his motives for. I know what I want to use the money for until the day I die, which is the state, as you know, has always failed to provide me with protection. I will need it until the day I die.
Yeah, is the anger over Nigel Farage housing completely unjustified? Have we put too much pressure on successful people becoming MPs? Like, we're just going to get the bottom of the barrel if we carry on like this. That's what my argument is tonight. And going head-to-head on this is Reform councillor Russell Quirk and political commentator Jonathan List. Good evening, gentlemen. Jonathan, I'll start with you and then Russell can respond.
Alex, it's completely legitimate to ask questions about the man who is projected on current polling to be our next Prime Minister. I had debate after debate on GB News 2 years ago when Keir Starmer claimed a free pair of glasses, or was gifted a free pair of glasses. Your colleagues were telling me it was corruption, it was wrong, who was gifting Starmer these glasses and why, what were they getting out of it? And when Farage gets a £5 million gift and buys 5 houses with cash, or buys houses with cash while claiming he's skint, it's nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry. You can't have it both ways. You can't have a dual standard. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If Keir Starmer got into trouble for taking gifts from donors, which were all declared, by the way, but it was corruption, it was wrong, it was undue influence, then Farage has to follow the same principle, because we need to know who is funding our politicians, what they're getting out of it. Christopher Harbour was not just some random rich person who won the lottery. He's a crypto billionaire. Nigel Farage has bought a massive amount of shares in Kwasi Kwarteng's crypto business, the former failed chancellor under his trust. Where did he get that money from? Who knows? And he's also calling for a looser regulation of crypto. So it's perfectly reasonable to ask where that money has come from and what that person might want in return. I'm not saying that Farage has done anything wrong, but it's absolutely right that these things are investigated and we get to the bottom of it and the politics stays clean in this country.
Over to you, Russell.
Well, first of all, great to hear Jonathan Liss from the left acknowledging that Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister of Great Britain, whenever that might be. That'll either be the end of this year, potentially, if Burnham has the cojones to go to the country, or indeed 2029. But look, Jonathan said it himself. Look, it doesn't appear that any rules have been broken. The Parliamentary Standards investigation is not concluded, so I think this is rather premature, Jonathan, to be trying to throw Nigel under the bus. And let's really look at what this is. What this is the left-leaning mainstream media and left-wing political commentators and others, and obviously his political opponents, whether it be Labour, the Lib Dems or the Greens. They are the green-eyed monster, aren't they, Jonathan? So this is about jealousy. This is the fact that you just cannot stand a man being successful. And frankly, Jonathan, perhaps being considerably richer than you. This is jealousy.
Considerably richer than you. It's not a Harry Enfield sketch, Russell, for heaven's sake. Can't we have a proper debate?
Well,
Goodness
we
me.
are.
I don't want a £5 million gift from anyone. £5 million is more than I will ever see in my life. Absolutely right. And it's more people.
But why shouldn't Nigel Farage then have a gift?
Most reform voters.
Why shouldn't Nigel Farage be given a gift of
purporting
£5
to be the
million?
man of the people, pockets £5 million and forgets to declare it. He says he can spend it on Ferraris if he likes. Heaven's sake, I've heard of tone deaf.
So, Jonathan,
this is more tone deaf than anything I've ever heard.
But Jonathan, look, I know that obviously there's a bias to your kind of argument, of course, but we must remember the facts here. There has been no wrongdoing. Nothing has been proven at all.
There's
and secondly, hang on, Jonathan.
There's investigation going on.
Investigations, right? But anyone can be investigated based on spurious complaints. I'm investigated by standards committees in councils almost on a weekly basis.
You say that he should have been investigated?
Because no. Look, it's not a matter for me to say whether he should or not. I mean, I don't know who has levied investigation. What I'm saying is, Jonathan, you're doing what the left always do, which is because you don't like my argument and I'm about to defeat you in that argument, you talk over me to stop me making my argument. Now, there are things that you should understand, Jonathan, but I think you know these to be true already. That £5 million was donated a year before Nigel Farage was an MP. Had nothing to do with politics. It was for security. And I think we'll see that borne out.
Why did Farage say it was a Brexit gift then? Was it gives a reward for Brexit?
Well,
can't be both.
Nigel has said that gift may represent one or two things from the same donor, whether it be a thank you for Brexit,
security or it's
and frankly, if I had £5 million to give Nigel Farage to thank him for Brexit, I would do the same thing.
But then you declare it. You declare it because people have a right to know where our politicians are getting their money from and their funding.
But he wasn't a politician at the time that £5 million gift was given,
I'm sorry,
as you well know.
And
the rules... Jonathan, have you read...
One at a time.
Jonathan, have you read the rules? Right, the rules with regard to those donations state that if it is for politics, so if it is for influence and that donation is given within 12 months of becoming an MP, doesn't matter who it's from. Hang on, Jonathan, you're doing it again. Jonathan, you're doing it again.
Russell, you wrap up. Let's pass it over to Jonathan for his
Jonathan, the rules say, and I think we should stick to the rules, don't you? I don't think we've got to a point where the rules are thrown out completely in this country just yet. The rules say that if it's within 12 months that person becomes a member of Parliament and it was deemed to be a political or influential donation, then that is one thing. But Nigel Farage has made it very, very clear, as I think will be borne out by the Parliamentary Standards outcome, that this was for security. It was a gift.
Russell, if you're saying it's completely within the rules, then the Parliamentary Standards Investigator Commissioner would have no grounds to investigate it. Let me finish. All I'm saying is I don't know if he formally broke the rules because I'm not the Parliamentary Standards Investigator. There is an investigation going on. What I'm saying is, and the vast majority of people will agree with me, even people I've had this conversation with who are voting reform, that says that it is suspicious. People get a £5 million gift, more money than most people will see in their entire lives, and just kind of forget about it. And they say they have mixed stories about what it's for. They have multiple houses. They seem to bought with cash while they were saying they're skint, and all the while
what he says,
for Angela Rayner to resign when she is found to have.
Jonathan,
Russell, listen, I'm going to have to stop because we've run out of time. Russell, sorry, mate, we've run out of time. We're going to have to leave it there,
Charlie Maynard and the money that he earned.
Sorry, the debate is over. I have to wrap up. Thanks, guys. Coming up.
Why are you claiming asylum? Why do you want to be in Britain?
I've been here for a long, long time.
Yeah, why? Why do you want to be in this country?
This is a shocker, because it's the godfather of Calais illegal migrant camps. He's been living here, in Britain. can you believe it, on your dime, while he's working illegally, supposedly, and driving illegally under a false name, allegedly. How much longer can we actually go on like this as a country? But before that, more on that big breaking news tonight. Home Office officials have said the current arrangements to move further migrants into the estate on Stoke Heath, dubbed Migrant Street, over the next few days have been put on hold. Massive, massive victory here. That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The hot weather and thunderstorms across eastern areas of Europe will slowly start to ease this weekend, but still very hot for Italy and Greece through the next few days. Temperatures in the high 20s for the Canary Islands as well as Madeira through Friday. Reasonably warm across Spain and France. We can see across parts of Italy and towards Greece. Very thundery rain, temperatures in the mid-30s through Friday. Perhaps a little higher than that inland, but it does become a little bit cooler through the weekend and into next week. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Plenty of sunshine around today, and there'll be more of that tomorrow. Most places staying dry, but there will be some rain heading into Northern Ireland. The wind's not as strong tomorrow. It's quite blustery out there still today. The isobars quite tightly packed there over northeast Scotland. Still pretty lively gusts across Shetland, but the wind's easing here through the night. Elsewhere, the wind's pretty light. Most places dry, just a few showers coming into western parts of Scotland. Otherwise, largely clear skies, and that will allow the temperatures to dip down to 10 to 13, 14 Celsius. So a fresher night, certainly across the south, compared to last night. And a fine day to come on Friday, certainly for the vast majority across England and Wales. As for Scotland, well, much of the east will be dry with sunny spells, but in the west, quite a bit of cloud, certainly initially, and a few showers coming in here. Nothing too heavy, but it will be a little bit damp. Much of Northern Ireland starting dry and bright, but any sunshine disappearing as the cloud starts to approach from the south. Most of England and Wales, mixture of sunny spells and patchy cloud, and we won't see a great deal of change here through the day. That thicker cloud, though, across the Republic of Ireland, just edging northwards, so turning a bit damp and drizzly in the south of Northern Ireland by lunchtime, and then that rain spreading in across most of Northern Ireland by the afternoon. Some of that getting into the Isle of Man, southwest Scotland, and perhaps the odd spot of drizzle through Anglesey as well. A few showers in western Scotland, but otherwise most places dry and a bit warmer than today, 22 to 25 degrees more widely over England and Wales, maybe 27 Celsius. We'll continue with thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Saturday across western Scotland in particular. Some patchy rain possible for northern England and Northern Ireland too. Again, much of the south dry and fine. And that's pretty much how Sunday shapes out. Sunny spells across the south, some rain at times in Scotland. It is going to get warmer though.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Some breaking news to bring you now. Home Office officials have said the current arrangements to move further migrants into the estate in Stoke Heath over the next few days have been put on hold. That's according to local MP Mark Pritchard, who spoke to GB News national reporter Jack Carson in the past few minutes.
What I was able to announce today, as a result of my pressure and the pressure of the local parish council, and credit to them, and local residents, is that the current arrangements that will allow more asylum seekers over the next few days has been put on hold. The asylum seekers that were already in place have now been relocated, so currently there are no asylum seekers in Stoke Heath. And the government have told me tonight, if they're to be believed, a senior Home Office official, and there's no reason why I should not believe them, is that this scheme is being reviewed by Home Office ministers.
This is a massive victory for local people. I cannot tell you the strength of feeling there yesterday when I was in Shropshire was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. And just for those of you who didn't see my piece yesterday on this, just to paint a little picture for you before we go to my panel, this is a hamlet as described by the locals. It's just a few hundred people, if not less, living in this tiny little rural area. The new development there, that's two of the new properties there, worth 250 grand each, by the way. It literally backs onto a field with cows on it, right? The picture you can see there depicts the children's park. So that's how close the kids' park is. It literally backs onto one of the new properties. That was a massive concern for locals who live literally opposite that road there. They were already telling their kids not to go to the park. They were already trying to train their kids not to go there because they were so concerned about their safety. They were telling their partners, you must lock the front door because, again, nothing to do around that area. There's no little shop in the hamlets. There's no bus stop. There's no way to get to the local town easily. You need to drive everywhere. They were deeply, deeply concerned, and they were outraged because this, as they told me, was all done shrouded in secrecy. They didn't find out until we all knew, until the local MP had spoke about it. Some of them even told me they found out on GB News. That's crazy to me. I've done a piece on this on gbnews.com. If you want to read it, please do feel free. Let's talk about it here with the panel, though, because this is a massive victory here, Linda. Massive victory for local people. They have put pressure on the local authority. They put pressure on their local MP. The media has put a lot of spotlights on this, but there are countless other examples.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what you do about all of this, because it's absolutely obvious that you can't parachute in all those people into a picturesque village like this, a small community, without really causing a very big problem. But where else do you accommodate people? I mean, what's the alternative? We know we've got to get them out of hotels. We're looking at former army accommodation. This doesn't work. What are we going to do? I'd like to know what the answer is.
The thing is, the thing about this that I think angers so many people, I think you'll probably agree, Linda, is that it's a brand new property. It was earmarked as affordable housing, some cases social housing, and some people were told. And actually, as they were saying, there's kids, like family members, grandchildren,
I've got 3 adult children.
Yeah,
and 2 of them, you're trying to get onto the property ladder right now.
Yeah.
Of course they find this kind of thing completely incomprehensible.
Yeah.
But on top of that, there's why do you put people who come from a completely different cultural background into a small, typically English, rural community like this? Because that doesn't work at all.
Matthew?
Well, it seems like a very sensible decision has been reached. I mean, it seems like a daft place to put people, and the very concept of using new build housing, particularly if it's going to be affordable housing, it is wrong, and it just shows that the system is broken. We need to have far fewer people, indeed very few people, arriving illegally, and those that do need to be processed quickly. No government has cracked that nut yet.
The thing is, you process them, they become refugees, they still need housing.
That's my point.
I mean, that's why we need to increase returns, which, I mean, the government has limited success in increasing returns. It needs to have a lot less limited and greater success.
Well, I was going to say, I think I know what Russell might say. Go on, Russell, how would you deal with this?
Well, first of all, can we just think about the 1 million people in Britain that are on the housing waiting list, that were born here, have paid tax here, you know, where they are waiting for a home, families, single-parent families perhaps, that are in need. How do they feel that they're still in bed and breakfast and you can rock up on a boat to Dover and immediately be given a brand-new Taylor Wimpey house? I mean, seriously, we've lost our minds as a country, haven't we?
But what do we do?
Oh, no, this is easy. No, but I don't know why we continue to have this debate in Britain, which is, you know, which deck chairs on the deck of the Titanic do we move to what place, right? So do we put migrants in HMOs? Do we put them in RAF bases? Do we put them in brand new houses? Do we put them, you know, wherever? That it should not be the debate, right? The debate should not be, do they go over there or over there? The debate should be, how do you stop them coming in the first place? Now, the only way to do that is to change the approach and the rules and the law by way of coming out of the ECHR. We've all talked about this many, many, many times. Most parties don't want to do this. The Conservatives latterly have copied reform in saying, oh, actually, now, after 14 years in power, we might actually come out of the ECHR. If you don't do that, you are not then able to return those people. But what we have to do, I'm afraid, and here's the hardline element, which is what we must do, is to intern people that come here illegally. So when they come here illegally and they claim asylum, which we know most of the time is fakery, we know that, if you were met with a prison-type environment, a military camp that you were not allowed out of, 3 meals a day and a hard bunk, and that's it, rather than in Wethersfield in Essex now, where actually you're not only treated like a god in terms of the tellies and the food and so on, you actually get bussed into Colchester, Braintree and Chelmsford on a daily basis to go shopping, for goodness sake. So we do that. But that then, if that was the harsh reality, it would stop people coming in the first place. It's obvious.
Matthew, do you agree with that?
I think I agree with the fact we need to have few people coming in the first place, and actually I don't disagree with, I think I might allow a mattress, but because every other European country doesn't puts people in effectively, camps. That's right. Lots of European countries do that, so I don't think there should be any. There should be nothing progressive about saying you have to have a wimpy house and not be in a kind of controlled environment.
The biggest thing that is stopping many people on the left would, of course, say that this is inhumane. That's their argument.
Well, I mean, I think the camp has to be decent, but we can clearly do it because, all our European compatriots do that. The key thing I would say about getting fewer people here is that at the moment, the number of asylum seekers across the EU is plummeting because of action the EU has taken, because of starting to tentatively do offshore processing and because of various things. But, of course, ours are not plummeting because we're not doing the right thing, and we need to learn from this. And it's not, but you don't have to leave the ECHR to get it down because it's plummeting in the EU.
Just to touch upon a story we're going to be dealing with in a little while, there's a much more profound and very pervasive and nasty problem coming down the track when we start to talk to this guy, the people trafficker, that's actually convicted and served a 5-year sentence in France, has pitched up in a tiny village in Leicestershire and has been making hundreds of thousands of pounds.
The other thing we must do, of course, is when reform get into government, is to have our own version of ICE. So we should go over to Donald Trump, learn how he has conducted that, and make sure that the people that are here illegally now are deported.
We've got to stop this organised crime.
But we're going to talk more about that very shortly, because the godfather of Calais, Calais illegal migrant camp, should I say, is living in Britain. I'm going to bring you the full report on that. On this case here, a Home Office spokesman has said this: new homes should never house asylum seekers. Earlier this year, the Home Secretary introduced robust processes to ensure new build sites like Stoke Heath can never be considered again. Coming up.
Why are you claiming asylum? Why do you want to be in Britain?
I've been here for a long, long time.
Yeah, why? Why do you want to be in this country?
That's right. That is the godfather of illegal migrant camps in Calais. That was what he was dubbed. He's living in Britain. In Britain, claiming asylum and working illegally. It is absolutely insane. But before that, I'm going to reveal why the start of this month has been dubbed Death Day. But here's a little bit of a clue for you. It's to do with Britain's plummeting birth rate. We'll reveal all in just a couple of minutes.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by 2 hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record, which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of like the bigger gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, like average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Well, that vile man on your screens right now is one of Rochdale's most notorious rape gang leaders. He was released from prison today. He served 14 years of what should have been a 22-year sentence. The government says it can't deport him because of a loophole in the Immigration Act. Well, Shadow Home Secretary of State Chris Philp is going to be joining me live very shortly to discuss that. But first, England and Wales reached a grim new milestone this month with the first day of July branded Death Day after the number of deaths exceeded the number of births. And this is apparently going to be the new normal. Official projections indeed show that from 2026, deaths will outpace births every year. A demographic change fuelled by Britain's plummeting birth rate. Well, Brits will now attend more funerals than christenings, with 450,000 more deaths than births that are projected over the next decade. There is an authority I always like to speak to on this, and that is GB News presenter Miriam Cates. Miriam, thank you so much for giving up your evening to talk to me tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Tell us. You're not interrupting anything else.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to need a glass of wine to talk about this one, because I don't think I can handle any more funerals, Miriam. What's gone on?
Well, it's really sad, isn't it, that there are so few babies being born now that the number of deaths is outnumbering those births. And I suppose you might say, well, why does it matter? Well, it matters because the number of babies being born today tells us just how many adults there will be, young adults, entering the workforce in about 20 years' time. And the worrying thing about the falling number of births is that we know for dead certain that means the labour force is going to be shrinking from 20 years' time. Well, actually, it's shrinking already because the number of births has been falling steadily since the 1970s, but particularly rapidly since 2010. And the reason this is important is that we need a big enough workforce to produce everything that we need, but also to pay taxes to provide the public services like the NHS, like education, but also pensions. So pensions are a really, really good illustration. So the state pension is about £12,500 a year. If you have a salary of £30,000 a year, right now you'll pay about £4,500 of tax and national insurance. So for each pensioner receiving the state pension, you need 3 full-time workers, all their tax and national insurance to go to pay that one pension. That's before we've got any roads, trains, schools, NHS. That's just the pension. Now, if you think the number of workers per pensioner is going to shrink and shrink and shrink, think what that means for our public finances, think what that means for our levels of taxation. This ratio just doesn't work. We need more babies or the economy will collapse. It's that simple.
Yeah, and Miriam as well, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this is part of the driving force. When government's looking at this data, they say we need more migrants in the country. If you're concerned about migration, you should be concerned about a falling birth rate. We've also seen, I think it's a record high in abortions as well, Miriam.
Yes, 1 in 3 pregnancies now ends in abortion. We hit the grim milestone of 300,000 terminations a year. That was the last year on record, 2023. And actually, if all of those pregnancies made it to term, we wouldn't have a shortage of babies at all. So the big question we need to ask is, why is it becoming so difficult for women to have children? Women generally still say they want children. On average, young women say they want over 2 children. So, you know, if everybody got their wish, we wouldn't have a problem. So what is it that's making it so hard for women to either decide to become pregnant or to go through with that pregnancy? And I think there are an awful lot of reasons. Some of them are economic, cost of housing, student debt. Some of them are social. People are settling down later on in life, finding it harder to meet long-term partners. The marriage rate has dropped. But I also think it's about culture and trends. We used to accept a few generations ago that age 23, 24 was perfectly old enough to have a child. And of course, biologically, it absolutely is. You're at your fertile peak at that age. There's no reason at all why you shouldn't be a parent in your early 20s. But our culture has changed, and we kind of think that having a child is the last thing you should do in adulthood rather than the first. And I don't think that's right. I think young parents can be absolutely brilliant parents, but we're going to have to change the culture and change the trends to make it more acceptable to do that. And of course, change the finances to make it easier for young people to settle down.
Indeed, Miriam. Well, listen, you go enjoy that glass of wine. We need to convince more people to have some babies. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really appreciate it. Have a lovely evening. All right, look, coming up, though, a convicted people smuggler, the godfather of illegal migrant camps in Calais, has been living in Britain. We are going to talk more about him, and, of course, we'll be here with Chris Philp too.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Plenty of sunshine around today, and there'll be more of that tomorrow. Most places staying dry, but there will be some rain heading into Northern Ireland. The wind's not as strong tomorrow. It's quite blustery out there still today. The isobars quite tightly packed there over northeast Scotland. Still pretty lively gusts across Shetland, but the wind's easing here through the night. Elsewhere, the wind's pretty light. Most places dry, just a few showers coming into western parts of Scotland. Otherwise, largely clear skies, and that will allow the temperatures to dip down to 10 to 13, 14 Celsius. So a fresher night, certainly across the south, compared to last night. And a fine day to come on Friday, certainly for the vast majority across England and Wales. As for Scotland, well, much of the east will be dry with sunny spells, but in the west, quite a bit of cloud, certainly initially, and a few showers coming in here. Nothing too heavy, but it will be a little bit damp. Much of Northern Ireland starting dry and bright, but any sunshine disappearing as the cloud starts to approach from the south. Most of England and Wales, mixture of sunny spells and patchy cloud, and we won't see a great deal of change here through the day. That thicker cloud, though, across the Republic of Ireland, just edging northwards, so turning a bit damp and drizzly in the south of Northern Ireland by lunchtime, and then that rain spreading in across most of Northern Ireland by the afternoon. Some of that getting into the Isle of Man, southwest Scotland, and perhaps the odd spot of drizzle through Anglesey as well. A few showers in western Scotland, but otherwise most places dry and a bit warmer than today, 22 to 25 degrees more widely over England and Wales, maybe 27 Celsius. We'll continue with thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Saturday across western Scotland in particular. Some patchy rain possible for northern England and Northern Ireland too. Again, much of the south dry and fine. And that's pretty much how Sunday shapes out. Sunny spells across the south, some rain at times in Scotland. It is going to get warmer though.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong covering for Patrick Christys tonight.
You came to this country via France, where you spent years people smuggling. You led one of the biggest people smuggling networks. We know your past.
Well, the godfather of Calais illegal migrant camps has been found and he's living in Britain. Plus, breaking news tonight. Reports suggest the government is in talks with Pakistan to deport one of the Rochdale's most notorious grooming gang leaders, who was released from prison today. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp is joining me live very shortly to discuss this. And guess who got married? And I'll also have loads of tomorrow's newspaper front pages for you. Breaking news on the front page of The Independent: Putin's drones spied on Britain's nuclear and military sites. And on my panel tonight, broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Reform UK councillor Russell Quirk and former Labour advisor Matthew Larzer. And this has got to be, surely, the most popular thing Keir Starmer's ever done.
We're making sure that pubs can stay open on Monday morning, early on Monday morning, for the England game. So I know lots of people are making their plans.
Right, this is insane. An illegal migrant, convicted people smuggler, the godfather of Calais illegal migrant camps, has apparently been living in Britain, claiming asylum and working illegally.
When they arrested you in France, police were injured in the arrest, and now you're in Britain. Why are you claiming asylum? Why do you want to be in Britain?
I've been here for a long, long time.
Yeah, why? Why do you want to be in this country?
Because I was not safe at my country and then I came to this country.
Right, but you came to this country via France, where you spent years people smuggling. You led one of the biggest people smuggling networks. We know your past. We know your past.
Well, if you know that, there was... Just 1 second, I'll be back.
Well, no.
To you guys.
No, I want to talk to you. We've waited a long time to talk to you.
Okay.
We've seen you driving around in this country in a car. Tell me what licence you've got. What valid...
For what?
For driving around in this country in a...
I'm not driving.
We've got photograph evidence and video evidence of you driving.
For what?
Twana Jamal was jailed for 5 years in France in 2016. Prosecutors called him one of the most successful people smugglers they'd ever caught. He ran operations near Dunkirk, charging migrants up to £5,000 per person for deadly crossings, making up to £100,000 a week. But now, according to the BBC, he's here. They tracked him down in Leicestershire, and it looks like he's been caught working illegally, stuffing mini-marts, driving around the country without a licence, using a false name, apparently. Somehow, our so-called watertight border security had no way of finding out about his criminal record, and they granted him asylum. It is mental, this story. BBC sources suggest at least 20 other convicted smugglers are doing the same thing under false identities. This is what an utter joke our country has become. We don't know a single thing about these men breaking into our country, partially because they do this. That's right, they throw their passports and their phones into the water while allegedly shouting, "This is the end of England," in their own language, of course. That was what part of that clip there. And this is what the refugees welcome crowd are inadvertently advocating for. Rapists, smugglers, criminals breaking into our country to commit heinous crimes, and you are footing the bill for all of it. We have got to deport every single one of these men. This is the only way to keep our country safe. We all know what needs to be done because we cannot carry on like this. And what happened to smashing the gangs? The gangs seem to be living in Britain. Let's get thoughts of my panel. Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Reform UK Deputy Leader at Essex County Council Russell Quirk, and former Labour advisor Matthew Larser. Russell, I'll start with you. Beggars belief.
I know. Yeah, I mean, even you were speechless, right?
I genuinely was. When I saw this story, my jaw just dropped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up to 20, they're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, it does beg a belief. The concern, though, of course, is that if we've let someone slip through the net, whereby they've been in France, presumably had their asylum application refused in France, as happens more often than not. They are much tougher on asylum applications being granted than we are here. A difference between 5% there and about 55 to 60% here. How on earth can we allow someone to come here that obviously we don't know anything about him, but also clearly has a conviction, a prison sentence, not just therefore a criminal, but his crime literally linked to the smuggling of asylum seekers into the country? I mean, this is genuine parody stuff. Yeah. This is thick of it. Armando Iannucci stuff. You couldn't write this stuff as a comedy sketch if you tried. I mean, it's absolutely appalling. And we can make light of it, I suppose, because it is so appalling and so kind of comedic in its nature. But, I mean, what's the betting? Do you think he's 100% straight and honest individual now?
Well, we know he's not. He's a criminal. Right. He's not going to change his colours overnight.
But he's also clearly driving a car. Probably, I don't know, he's probably running a team of Deliveroo people or whatever he's doing. I think there was... and actually, well done to ITV. It's the best bit of journalism they've done. BBC, was it? Yeah, well, definitely the best bit of journalism they've done for about 50 years. Yeah. But fair play to them for finding him. But I think he was sweeping up outside a shop. I mean, that's like a giveaway, I think. And the fact that he's driving. So he's driving without a licence, therefore without insurance.
Allegedly,
under a false name. Someone hits a pedestrian or another car or whatever and hurts them, or even worse, kills them, with no consequences whatsoever.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It's not so much In the Thick of It, but that series called Mac Mafia. This is what I've been saying for months. People trafficking is a worldwide organised crime situation, and we have allowed organised crime, and that is a big, big business, to come into this country. Now, when you've got organised crime, you've got money laundering, you've got drug trafficking, you've got all sorts of associated crimes that wrap around it. This guy has had so many names that when he was in France, apparently, he used to have to write each name on the inside of his baseball cap because he used to forget them on a weekly basis.
Who am I today?
The fact of the matter is, and he's swanning around now in his BMW and his camel hair coat. Literally, that's what he has been described as wearing. Leading the life of, you know, of a millionaire. He was making £100,000 a week. He was charging people £4,500 to £5,000 per journey across the channel on inflatables that we know carry 30 people. Of course it's big business. And now we have carried on introducing pervasive, hideous, organised crime into our country. It's shocking.
On top of that as well, we are paying for him. He is an asylum seeker, you know, granted that status. Granted that, which means he'll be living off the taxpayer. He's not allowed to work, so he's working illegally. He's going to be funded by the taxpayer, inevitably.
And now he's got these shops, Candy Corner, one of them next door to the Conservative constituency office in the village.
But how can he have a shop? If he's an asylum seeker and should be working, how can he have a shop?
Because he doesn't care.
It's
But
fake.
what are the authorities doing?
But this is the thing. This is what we're meant to be. Smashing the gangs. Do you remember that? Time and time again, we're going to smash the gangs. The gangs are living in Britain. Matthew, it's a massive embarrassment for the Home Secretary, particularly.
Well, I think it's a massive embarrassment for the system. I mean, I have to.
They run the system.
Well, he isn't. We don't think at the moment there hasn't been accusations that he's involved people smuggling at the moment. It's about his status in the UK. Clearly, he has a conviction for people smuggling, but that's some time ago. He shouldn't be here. Right. Absolutely. So one of the interesting things is that the immigration officers that the BBC spoke to say that one of the big problems now is that since Brexit. We are not comparing lists with the EU. So, you know, I have to say that this is a Brexit bonus. I mean, you know, and I'm being ironic.
But we didn't want to stop because that's again the EU being nasty.
Well, we don't. What we need to do is we need to have closer cooperation on this matter. I came back from the EU yesterday, put my fingers on the pad as we all have to do when we enter and exit the EU now. But why hasn't?
Hang on, you're putting your fingerprints on to go as a tourist to the EU, but these lot are
exactly.
coming over here
because we're not. That's my Alex.
Let me finish. Hang on. Let me finish. They're coming over here illegally. We do not take their mobile phones because we're not allowed to take them anymore because that was struck down by the court. They're chucking their passports in the water, and we're still going,
absolutely.
Oh, OK.
So
we'll put you in a 4-star hotel. Maybe you'll go to a nice new home. Then you'll be able to not work.
Yeah. But Alex, if it's a consequence of Brexit that we're not comparing fingerprint data with the EU, then that is wrong. We need to be cooperating with the EU.
Sorry, Matthew. Interpol doesn't collapse because of Brexit. Come on, that's a nonsense.
Well, that's what the. Well, it's not. It's not because it's not. It's not. This. It's not an Interpol. This is
what stops information sharing just because there's been a decision by British.
Because we're not on the same system. We're now not on the same.
Part of a EU superstate.
It's not. It's not. It's not a case of Interpol who obviously do operate beyond the EU. What it is it's the case that the EU has a combined border force system, which is one of the reasons why illegal migration, which they can't share with us now.
Why not? That's their choice.
Well, it's also our choice not to do it.
I bet we're not having the choice that we don't want to know who's coming into this country by way of a database. So why can't someone in France and say, hey...
Well, let's hope that this government does that now, because the Tories who organised Brexit didn't arrange for that to happen, and it needs to happen.
But the fact of the matter, this guy, whose gang was apparently called the Rania Boys, it's like something out of a film.
It's ridiculous.
It's utterly ridiculous. Part of a Kurdish gang. Now, they're not made with the milk of human kindness, those guys. Can you imagine what's going on in this country now that we don't hear about? It's utterly disgraceful.
Well, the fact is that
the violence and the crime, and the organised crime.
BBC sources have said off the back of that report they believe there's up to 20 others, right?
20 of them.
Absolutely.
These men have trafficked innocent people that have died trying to cross the channel. They have possibly transported rapists, murderers, disgusting criminals, military fighting-age men
And they've also risked lives.
These
I mean,
men,
crucially.
He should,
of course.
Look, I don't want to say anything that will get me into trouble, to be quite frankly with you, but I'm disgusted by this story. It's a disgrace on our country that the people on the left are so wet and are so... They're part of their suicidal empathy, Russell, where they seem to think everyone... Oh, refugees...
Can I say there's no evidence that he came during the Labour government's time? Southampton's been here for a while.
I'm not suggesting it's just Labour.
I just want to clarify that.
We know this went on under the Tories prolifically.
But he was convicted in 2016, went to prison in France in 2016 for 5 years, assuming he served his whole sentence, which he probably didn't. I mean, he's been
here for a while.
He's been here for a while.
Yeah.
My question is, now let's roll forward in terms of what the Home Office and Border Force are doing about the very fact that the BBC have just exposed this. Do we think they are, at this moment, investigating the fact he's driving without a licence, he's set up a business and he's working illegally? Are they hell? Of course they're not.
The whole thing is a joke.
Yeah, it is
a joke.
Because this investigative reporter, in fact, there were two of them that work on this, and they work on a whole series.
Yeah.
They tracked the head of a trafficking gang months and months ago.
And why can't Border Force?
What happened there?
And why can't the Home
How
Office?
can they do it?
Yes.
When our own authorities cannot.
Absolutely.
That is the big question, isn't it? That is, how has it got to the... Once again, like a lot of these stories we tell here, like just talking about Migrant Street, for example, it took massive national pressure from media, from the journalists. We've been funding the French, by the way, giving them £500 million to stop this crisis.
Yeah.
It has done nothing. Nothing to stop people like that man making it over on a boat he might even own.
Do you remember, Alex, a year or so ago, there was a certain gentleman with big inverted commas that made his way over from Calais to Dover on an inflatable with an AK-47 tattooed onto his cheek. And he was intent, and he said, down the camera, put it on TikTok, that he was here to kill Nigel Farage.
That's right.
The police, Border Force, the Home Office did absolutely nothing. Do you know who did? It was the Daily Mail that found him and effectively dobbed him in, so to speak. But where are our authorities?
But this is why people are so frustrated. They watch channels like ours. They read in the national media about stories that are completely outrageous, that the government should be all over, considering how much tax you pay, considering how much money we give to the French, how much investment we've put into this, and things are not changing.
This is the worst one. He apparently had been operating as a people trafficker for over 15 years. He didn't even start with the boats. He started with container lorries.
It's almost like... Why doesn't a conviction in a country whose judicial system we respect, i.e. France, where there can be no question that France has a fair judicial system, why doesn't a conviction there automatically mean that you can be deported?
Yeah.
And so it should be out...
That's what the French to worry about.
It must be Brexit's fault.
I don't... Russell, clearly Brexit is impacting it because it is impacting our ability to cooperate, and we have to cooperate, Russell.
Well, I mean, allegedly, if all the things the BBC report is true, there's many offences the man should be arrested for. I mean, for goodness sake.
Driving without a licence.
I know so many people are fed up. I don't enjoy these stories because it boggles my mind when I see it, and we're like a clown country. And I think you're right. It's like an episode of The Thick of It.
He won't be arrested. In about 6 weeks' time, he'll be the mayor of bloody Leicester.
Yeah, well, there we go. All right, well, Tawana Jamal, the people smuggler tracked down by the BBC, told the broadcaster he had never had any involvement in people smuggling and had not been jailed in France. Jamal claimed to have been in the UK since 2009. When the BBC produced the picture of him in the French courtroom in 2016, he did not deny it was him. However, when they put it to him that it was proof he had been arrested, he replied this: "I don't care." Jamal also denied he was working at the mini-mart. A Home Office spokesperson said this: "All asylum claimants are subject to mandatory security checks to confirm their identity for the purpose of immigration, security and criminality checks." Sure. Immigration enforcement action is at its highest level in British history, with illegal working arrests up to 83% and raids up by 77%. Disruptions to criminal smuggling activity includes arrests, convictions and seizures of criminal cash, and assets have also increased by nearly 50%. There you go. Do you feel relieved? Time now for our Great British Giveaway. It's your chance to win 60 grand in tax-free cash and a gold bar worth over 5 grand. Here's all the details.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our golden summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, coming up, I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and breaking news on the front page of The Independent. Putin's drones spied on Britain's nuclear and military sites. Plus, we're going to have more on that breaking news tonight that the Home Office has paused controversial plans to move over 80 asylum seekers into a new housing development in Shropshire. Before that, more breaking news tonight. Reports suggest the government is in talks with Pakistan to deport one of Rochdale's most notorious grooming gang leaders. Home Secretary Chris Philp in just a few moments' time.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition, from 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages will be with you very shortly, but I did want to get to this story because the leader of a notorious Rochdale rape gang was released from prison today in the early hours of the morning amid a massive political row now over his deportation. Well, Pakistani-born Shabir Ahmed was convicted of 30 child rape offences in 2012 and was sentenced to 22 years in prison. But he was released today, having served only 14 years. That's just over half. Despite having been stripped of his British citizenship, Ahmed can't be deported because of a loophole in the 1972 Immigration Act. However, breaking news tonight, reports in The Times, well, they're suggesting the Foreign Office is in talks with the Pakistani government about the prospect of returning Ahmed and 2 co-ringleaders in the grooming gang. Meanwhile, the Home Secretary is reportedly looking at repealing the loophole as part of the Immigration and Asylum Bill, which was introduced to Parliament today. Well, I'm very happy to say I'm now joined by Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, Mr. Philp. I really do appreciate it because this story has outraged the British public. Many people will be asking, how on earth have we got to a situation where the Home Office was saying and the government was saying earlier on today, sorry, we can't do anything? I thought they were the government. They were meant to be able to change laws.
Good evening, Patrick. Well, you're absolutely right, and your viewers are right to be outraged by this situation. This man, Shabir Ahmed, is a vile, convicted paedophile who led a gang of men of Pakistani origin to prey on young girls. He organised the gang rape of young girls as young as just 12 years old. And this despicable man has no place in our country. He should be urgently deported back to his country of original nationality and birth, which is Pakistan. The government should get on and do that straight away. These kind of people should not be allowed to stay in our country. Now, they're pointing, as you say, to a provision in the 1971 Immigration Act, but the government, Parliament, can change the law. And the Parliament should change the law. And that is why we Conservatives are going to be tabling an amendment. I am going to be tabling an amendment to the bill to change the law to enable him to be rapidly deported. There's a couple of Labour MPs who are supporting that idea. I think Paul Waugh and Jim McMahon. And I hope that Shabana Mahmood and Andy Burnham decide to support the amendment we're going to table, because there can be no messing around when it comes to dangerous criminals like Shabir Ahmed. They should simply be kicked out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, look, this man was jailed in 2012. You guys were in government. The Conservative Party was, of course, in government at the time. Was the writing not on the wall at that point, that there was a loophole in the immigration system? We wanted to deport this man. Many people are asking me, particularly our audience tonight, how on earth is it that our politicians aren't aware of loopholes until massive cases like this come up? And the concern is, if it isn't fixed, or your amendment, which I 100% agree needs to go ahead, by the way, many people are concerned that more of these men like him who might have come here before 1973, will be allowed to stay in Britain if Pakistan doesn't play ball with us.
Yeah, well, it's an important concern. So we've got to change the law urgently so all foreign criminals can be deported. And by the way, we'll need to do more, I think, ultimately, than just change this particular law. We'll also need to come out of the ECHR, because some of these people inevitably make bogus human rights claims as well. So we need to ultimately get rid of the ECHR as well, which I certainly intend to do. And be right, we also need these countries like Pakistan to accept back their own citizens. Now, of course, if a British citizen commits a criminal offence somewhere else or is in another country illegally, of course we take back our own citizens. So we expect other countries, like Pakistan, to do the same when the boot is on the other foot. And if they don't do that, we should be cutting all foreign aid to those countries that don't accept back their own citizens. And we should be imposing what are called visa sanctions, which means if there's a country that doesn't accept back their own citizens if they commit a crime in Britain or if they're illegally in Britain, then we should ultimately stop issuing visas for other citizens of that other country to come into the UK, because how can we accept people to come in if we can't remove them if they commit a crime or they stay longer than they should? So if countries like Pakistan don't cooperate, no overseas aid and visa sanctions, and that will get their attention and ensure they take back their own citizens just as we take back ours. As far as I'm concerned, there should be zero tolerance for foreign criminals, particularly paedophiles like this, but frankly any foreign criminal, and zero tolerance for illegal immigrants entering the country, like the man you were talking about in your previous piece, the people smuggler living in Blaby, just outside Leicester. These kind of people should be deported, all of them. It's that simple, which means changing the law, it means coming out of the ECHR, and it means enforcing, if necessary, other countries to take back their own nationals. It's as simple as that.
Can I just get your thoughts on what's being dubbed as Migrant Street, the small little hamlet in Shropshire? I was there yesterday. Massive outrage from the local community there. It seems like they might have had a little bit of a victory today, because we saw some breaking news in the last hour or so that the Home Office is basically going to put that whole development on hold and relocate people that might already be living in those properties. Do you welcome this news? And what are the wider implications now for the rest of the country? How is there still going to be migrants scattered all across the country that might be claiming asylum status?
Well, I'm afraid the truth is there are. So while it was absolutely outrageous, these brand new homes, which local people couldn't afford for their kids, were being given to illegal immigrants. That was obviously outrageous, and it's good that that's been shut down. But the truth is, as you've just said, this is happening all over the country. The Home Office is currently accommodating around about 100,000 people. You heard that right, 100,000 people who are claiming asylum, most of whom are illegal immigrants, most of whom cross the channel by small boat. They are mainly young men. And that is costing about £4 billion a year. It is completely ridiculous. And most of them end up getting asylum and then just go on to the regular benefit system and just disappear into the £160 billion welfare system. So this has to stop completely. This has to completely stop. If someone enters our country illegally, they should not be allowed to claim asylum if they've entered illegally, and they should be deported, essentially immediately, to their country of origin if that's possible, or a safe third country like Rwanda otherwise. To do that, we'll need to ban asylum claims by illegal immigrants, we'll need to come out of the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights, we'll need to end the modern slavery claims, which some people concoct to prevent removal, and we'll have to basically dismantle the immigration tribunal and have no court cases. Otherwise you end up with court cases that go on for years and years and years. That all has to end. Now that's quite a radical package I've just set out there, but that is what we've got to do in order to deport illegal immigrants within a week of arrival. And if you do that, pretty quickly they're going to stop bothering to make the crossing. If you're an illegal immigrant in France, you're not going to bother crossing to the UK if you know you're going to get deported within a week. The reason they're crossing is they know they're going to get put up in a cushy hotel, they're going to be given money, they're ultimately, I think they've got a 93% chance of staying, and they can work in the illegal black economy. So no wonder they're all crossing from France to the UK. We've got to completely change that. Australia did something similar about 12 or 13 years ago, and within about 3 months, the illegal boat crossings to Australia, which were happening in similar numbers to the ones that we're experiencing, they just stopped completely. Now what I've described is tough, it's radical, but it worked in Australia and it will work here. Doesn't matter whether these illegal immigrants are in houses, hotels, military sites, apartments, doesn't really matter. We can't be accommodating 100,000 people who have entered our country illegally. It's completely out of control, and it's got to stop.
Just very briefly, Mr. Phil, because Labour would say that this was a problem you created. They're saying you didn't put the provisions in place, you didn't put the laws in place. Do you think there is a charge that the Conservative Party in the last government didn't do enough, at least to protect the country from this crisis?
Well, I think it was essentially impossible to control the borders while we were in the ECHR, the Modern Slavery Treaty, and as long as we allowed illegal immigrants to claim asylum. So I think those things should have been fixed in the past. We should have come out of the ECHR in the past, to be quite honest, because staying in the ECHR has made it impossible for successive governments, the current government and previous governments, to control our borders. And that's why when Kemi Badenoch became leader of the Conservatives and I became the Shadow Home Secretary a year or so ago, we had a good look at this situation and concluded the only way to fix it is the radical action I described out of the ECHR.
Thank you. Well,
so
Chris,
that's why we've changed our policy.
Yeah, I thank you for your honesty and for saying that, because I think a lot of people just want to hear sometimes, yeah, we should have done more, and I think that goes a long way with the British public, particularly our audience as well. Thank you so much. That's Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp there, talking about a range of issues there, from Migrant Street, of course, to this man that needs to clearly be deported ASAP. A Home Office spokesman said this: "Our thoughts are first and foremost with the victims of these appalling crimes. Ahmed's horrific crimes were at the heart of the grooming gang scandal that represents one of the darkest moments in our country's history. On his release, he will be on the sex offenders register for life, ordered to stay away from his victims and banned from contacting any child or young person. This, as well as facing strict curfews and restriction zones. His every movement will be tracked, forced to wear an electronic tag. Should he breach his conditions, he will be immediately locked up." All right, look, coming up, I'm going to have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and breaking news, this is a good one, on the front page of the Daily Mail. Who's that on the bottom right? Oh, Nicola Sturgeon. She's starting early. That's next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The hot weather and thunderstorms across eastern areas of Europe will slowly start to ease this weekend, but still very hot for Italy and Greece through the next few days. Temperatures in the high 20s for the Canary Islands as well as Madeira through Friday. Reasonably warm across Spain and France. We can see across parts of Italy and towards Greece. Very thundery rain temperatures in the mid-30s through Friday. Perhaps a little higher than that inland, but it does become a little bit cooler through the weekend and into next week. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Plenty of sunshine around today, and there'll be more of that tomorrow. Most places staying dry, but there will be some rain heading into Northern Ireland. The wind's not as strong tomorrow. It's quite blustery out there still today. The isobars quite tightly packed there over northeast Scotland. Still pretty lively gusts across Shetland, but the wind's easing here through the night. Elsewhere, the wind's pretty light. Most places dry, just a few showers coming into western parts of Scotland. Otherwise, largely clear skies, and that will allow the temperatures to dip down to 10 to 13, 14 Celsius. So a fresher night, certainly across the south, compared to last night. And a fine day to come on Friday, certainly for the vast majority across England and Wales. As for Scotland, well, much of the east will be dry with sunny spells, but in the west, quite a bit of cloud, certainly initially, and a few showers coming in here. Nothing too heavy, but it will be a little bit damp. Much of Northern Ireland starting dry and bright, but any sunshine disappearing as the cloud starts to approach from the south. Most of England and Wales, mixture of sunny spells and patchy cloud, and we won't see a great deal of change here through the day. That thicker cloud, though, across the Republic of Ireland, just edging northwards, so turning a bit damp and drizzly in the south of Northern Ireland by lunchtime, and then that rain spreading in across most of Northern Ireland by the afternoon. Some of that getting into the Isle of Man, southwest Scotland, and perhaps the odd spot of drizzle through Anglesey as well. A few showers in western Scotland, but otherwise most places dry and a bit warmer than today, 22 to 25 degrees more widely over England and Wales, maybe 27 Celsius. We'll continue with thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Saturday across western Scotland in particular. Some patchy rain possible for northern England and Northern Ireland too. Again, much of the south dry and fine. And that's pretty much how Sunday shapes out. Sunny spells across the south, some rain at times in Scotland. It is going to get warmer though.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there.
With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
back, everybody. Yes, we are live on air. I have got your front pages for you. Let's start with the Metro. Rapist cop jailed for 10 years. Yes. We'll get into a bit of that later on. Daily Telegraph. Change law to kick out rapist, number 10 told. Again, do not understand. Earlier on in the day, they were saying, we can't get rid of this guy. It's the law. Duh. You're the government. That's your job. Change the law. Daily Express. Kick out rape gang monster now. Yeah, the pressure's really building here, isn't it? Daily Mirror, Mexican rave. And, of course, you know, this is the great news. The Daily Mail are continuing with this story as well, so we might as well wrap them both into one. England's big all-nighter. And, yeah, of course, this is the news that Keir Starmer's allowed the pubs to stay open till 5 a.m. on Monday. Unfortunately, I will have to be in bed. But this is, of course, a pretty good all-rounder. The best thing Keir Starmer's done, I think, actually. And someone's starting early, apparently, according to the Daily Mail, and that is Nicola Sturgeon. Yes, she's. It's not very flattering, is it? She's in London there, having a glass of wine. Yeah.
I feel a bit sorry for her, you know. She's entitled to have a glass of wine. They've clearly picked the most unflattering shot.
Do you know what it
possible.
reminds me of? Angela Rayner in the boat with the cheap champagne.
The pedalo.
And the vape. Yeah, and the vape. Classic.
I think ultimately that didn't do Angela any harm. Makes her human.
Yeah. Well, you can argue
so maybe,
maybe
Nicola.
I don't know what this is doing for Nicola, though.
No, I mean, you know,
it's not doing much, is it?
She's showing she's a real person.
Looks like she's having a great time.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't.
She looks really there in the sun in London.
Well, she does have to live in England now, doesn't she? And that must be very hard for her. And I did hear she was moving south of the border.
Yeah. You can tell it's London, the sun's shining.
She hates Westminster. You know, we know that. It's all Westminster's fault. So maybe she's just not happy to be there. Maybe she's having to drown her sorrows, having to be stuck in London, in Westminster, possibly, in England, things that she doesn't like all combined into one. And she's just, you know...
Alex, can I just take issue with you? I mean, the front page of many of these papers relates to the whole kind of 1 a.m. football thing.
5 a.m.
Our temporary illustrious leader, Keir Starmer, saying, I'm going to allow you to drink in a pub until 5 a.m. You said it's the best thing he's ever done. Of course, it isn't. It's the second best thing he's ever done.
Oh, yeah.
The first thing was resign.
Oh, Russell.
Very good, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm ecstatic about this because the pubs need it, right? Pubs really need it. And it's a massive game for us.
Oh, it's so fantastic. When I got home, was it yesterday?
I don't know what day of the week it is.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday, yeah.
And I live in a
Have you not been home for a few days?
Yeah. I live in a small town, so I'm driving home, and all you can hear is this massive cheer goes up around the town because all the pubs are open, all the windows are open, everyone's drinking in their homes, everyone's drinking in the pubs, and every time England score, thankfully, more than once.
Well, we should just going back to Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. The SNP, of course, gave Scotland effectively an extra bank holiday because they had a game that was a particularly late hour.
Stage.
They did. But, you know, maybe Keir should have taken it one stage further and offered a bank holiday on Monday because he said that yes, yes, pubs can open late, but Thomas Tuchel said kids should skive off school.
I heard that.
And Keir said no. No.
But you should only get a bank holiday if you actually win.
I know. I mean, I'm quite hard on these things.
We can't have another black hole, Matthew. He's just created one. He cannot create a bank holiday black hole to give out to Andy.
Is there not a little irony to Keir Starmer now at the end of his tenure saying, I support pubs, when, of course, for the last 2 years he's been absolutely destroying them.
I don't know whether this is about supporting
business
pubs.
rates up.
I doubt this is whether it's supporting pubs. It's more like, well, the pubs were all having to apply for this special exemption, which was just a lot of paperwork. It was costing them 25 quid. Not a lot of money, but it's still 25 quid. That's 2 pints in London now, isn't it? To do so, it just makes no sense. It's an England game. This is the one time every 4 years we all come together despite whatever
That's what I'm saying. In my town, everyone's right behind all
Well, it'll be a
this.
fitting celebration, or rather commiseration, because it's probably going to be England's exit, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it's the altitude. That's the problem.
Well, and the fact Mexico are better than us.
Shall we?
I think Harry Kane is enough.
Oh, come on.
No,
You're not one of these people that thinks it's really coming home, are you, Linda?
I think Harry Kane can work miracles. I think it should be Sir Harry Kane. But I think the biggest problem for England is the altitude.
The altitude?
Yeah.
I tell you what it is, it's the attitude. It's the attitude
right,
of the people on the pitch.
Yeah, all right, well, look, let's change tact a little bit because there's a lot of politics around this story. We talked about this last night in quite a lot of detail, but, of course, it's really blown up today. This is the front page of the Daily Express here. Kick out rape gang monster now. Yes, this is Shabir Ahmed, a man who has been charged with over 30 different accounts of of child rape, sexual abuse, you name it, he's done it, clearly. He's now out of prison. He should have been serving a 22-year sentence. He served 14 years of that, nowhere near long enough. And now he's going to have to be in taxpayer-funded secure accommodation, tracked all... he's a foreigner in our country who is committed the most disgusting, vile crime. Is filth. He needs to go. The government this morning were all up in arms saying, we can't do anything about it, it's the law. I mean, fine.
Well, I mean,
why didn't the Prime Minister go, this is the thing, it came down to Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham, man, he's not even Prime Minister yet, to say, get on the phone to the Home Secretary, get on the phone to the Foreign Secretary, sort this out. Keir Starmer, he spent his time, 5 a.m. at the pub. Thanks, Keir. Why don't you do something about this monster?
Well, I think you should absolutely.
Here, this guy.
I think you should do both. I mean, I just want to say I think Chris Phillips got more front than Blackpool, as this piece of legislation that we can't deport him on was passed under a Tory government, and the guy was then sentenced under a Tory government, and obviously knowing that he would come out because he'd had a life sentence, no provision was made. So I mean, you know, it's a nice one to have. And he did have hindsight, absolutely, but it's easy to have hindsight.
The hand-wringing is excruciating, and I suppose the Conservatives, as we know, are now talking about coming out the ECHR, which they had 14 years to do. Look, what should happen here, given that this person's citizenship, his British citizenship has been revoked, so therefore he has a closer connection now technically to Pakistan, where he originally comes from. What we now should be saying to Pakistan is, look, we give you all of this money in foreign aid, and we allow lots of your citizens to come here, particularly on student visas and work visas. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to stop all of your foreign aid, and we're going to stop all of your visas, any visa being published to any of your citizens, if you don't take this and others like him back.
The problem is not that we obviously want to chuck him out, but how do you get him into Pakistan?
Parachute.
Well, I just said last night, drop him off at the closest piece of tarmac we can possibly find in Pakistan. I don't care how he goes. I think it's mental as a developed country that, first of all, these agreements don't already exist with countries like Pakistan, but it's mental that we have laws where you cannot deport someone just because he's a Commonwealth citizen. I couldn't care less where he's from. I don't care if he was from Ireland or anywhere nearby us. I don't care where he's from. The fact there's any law prohibiting deportation of someone just because they come from a Commonwealth country, that law is archaic. It should have been removed years ago. I think...
Well, it's a bit like... I mean, there is a question about the Commonwealth citizens being allowed to vote when other citizens from around the world who equally have recently can't.
No, we can't.
I mean, they seem a bit archaic.
Vote, can we?
No.
We can't go to India and vote. We can't go to Australia and vote. We are the softest touch in the world, and it's this constant suicidal empathy that is getting this country into serious trouble. This man, we should just be able to put him in handcuffs, chuck him on a plane, Linda.
That's right. The issue is not that we can't do something here. I'm sure there are plenty of things that we can do here, but we have to force him through with the Pakistani authorities.
Yes.
That's the real hold.
Can we also just note the fact that he served 14 years of a 22-year sentence?
Well, that's sentence by...
That's higher than average, that percentage.
He owes us 8 years, as far as I'm concerned.
I think he owes us more, because he was charged a second time. So he was charged originally for 19 years, then a 30 additional child abuse, multiple different abuses, rape and everything else, and they were running consecutively. He should have served a 40-year sentence. That's what he should have done, like the Americans do it. But, of course, our soft-touch system let him out in 14. Disgusting. The whole thing's a joke. Look, loads more to bring you on the show, including the front page of The Times, where Burnham is saying manifesto allows some taxes to rise. I'll bring that and more to you in just a few moments.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, Cameron, Miriam, it's certainly feeling hot here today, 30 degrees, and it's only going to get hotter, of course, across the country. Many people feeling the heat as well. Those red weather warnings for extreme heat in place, saying that this heat could even cause a risk to life, urging people to take precautions. But spare a thought for people working in this heat, particularly those in kitchens. We can't come to the beach without a fish and chip shop. This is the Modern World Fish and Chip Shop in Brighton, and Ibram runs it. Ibram, just how hot is it inside your kitchen today?
It's an absolute scorcher, actually. It's okay. We're just about coping. We're taking precautions. We reduced one fry from 2 fries. We're down to 1. There's not much sales in food at the moment. It's mostly people trying to keep hydrated. Waters, soft drinks, ice creams, beers.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
And the reason why Alex's head is a little bit sore this morning is because we are Trick Award winners.
Yes.
Again. For the 4th year in a row. We're absolutely delighted, aren't we? We're buzzing with this.
We are. And, yeah, I need some more sleep.
Listen to that voice. You sound like Orson Welles.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Hey, everybody. Got a very
Alex went
sultry voice today.
Yeah, you sound good. You sound good.
okay,
But
maybe.
you went for celebratory drinks last night, didn't you?
Yeah, you could put it that way.
Yeah.
You could put it celebratory
How's the
drinks.
head this morning?
Yeah, I think that the hangover's coming. Let's put it that way. Hangover is still due.
Oh, there you are. Look, there we
look.
are. GB News Breakfast winner. So it was in the news category yesterday, and we are absolutely delighted that you chose us because it is voted for by you.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Well, that is the question. Good morning to you both. It is very hot. Right now it's 25 degrees. Ordinarily, it might be this temperature about midday, but no, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 25 degrees and temperatures set to soar throughout the day into the mid-30s. If it gets higher than 35.1 degree today, then today will be the hottest day of the year. Many people forecasting that we could reach that threshold today. So that's one to look out for. But as you can see, many people keeping cool today. Somebody's here in the water. We've got people out to sea swimming as well, and many on the shoreline enjoying this hot weather, including John here I can speak to now. John, thanks for joining us this morning on GB News. Have you been in the sea yet? How are you keeping cool?
Yeah, I went in the sea. We were down about 7 o'clock this morning. Literally dived straight in.
GB News, the People's Channel.
More front pages here. Let's start with the Times. Burnham manifesto allows some taxes to rise. Well. Don't say we didn't warn you. The Guardian. Spending cuts to fund defence plans will cost 10,000 UK jobs. And what's racist today, guys? Well, apparently, what's racist is that pain relief during birth. That's racist, according to The Guardian. We'll dig into that a little bit later. The Independent. Putin drones spied on Britain's nuclear and military sites. The Sun. Tequila sunrise, there you go, and the iPaper. Labour failed to prepare for power before winning landslide, admits Mick Sweeney. Yeah, we kind of knew this already, mate, sorry. It's like telling us what we already figured out for ourselves. Look, shall we start on manifesto pledges? Because on the front page of the Times here, Andy Burnham is hinting that there's going to be potentially some tax rises. Benefit cut. He's ruled out crude benefit cuts and promises rates break for pubs. Well, that plus the defence investment plan says to me that he's got a little bit of a black hole problem. This is feeling very, very reminiscent of 2024 when Keir Starmer stepped into government with his manifesto. Linda, what do you think?
I think that we were talking about this actually in the break about what he might need to do going forward into the autumn, and I think that he needs to have a serious think about the election. I can't believe that he would go for an early election.
Yeah.
I mean, opinions divided about that, but...
Oh, I think he should. I think he should if he wants to stay in power.
A lot of people think he should, but I just don't think, knowing human nature, that he will do that. He's just... no one gives up power easily. He'll think that he can achieve what he needs to achieve in the next 3 years, and then he'll have a fighting chance at the end of it in 2020.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. Well, he's refusing to rule out changing the fiscal rules, although when he was asked by a different broadcaster the question about fiscal rules, he said, I'm not going to be sat here and tested on the fiscal rules, which is a politician's answer for, I don't know what they are. Russell?
Look, it's almost amusing, really, that Burnham is saying that he is somehow wedded to the Labour manifesto, because, I mean, it doesn't seem that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have been for the last 2 years. Lots of the stuff that they've done was not in the manifesto, you know, penalising old people, winter fuel allowance, farmers, and so on and so forth. And indeed, the tax element, which we're focused on here, whilst Rachel Reeves hasn't technically increased the rate of VAT and income tax, obviously she has frozen thresholds, and she's also done a lot around employers' national insurance. So effectively, they are indirect pseudo tax rises. Look, Burnham is going to be yet another tax and spend Labour Prime Minister. We had that and have that with Keir Starmer. We actually also had that in the last 2 or 3 years of the Conservatives. So Burnham's going to be no different. He pledges here to build hundreds of thousands of council houses over the term of the Parliament, the remaining term of the Parliament. Quite how he's going to do that, I don't know. He's going to have to borrow tens, if not hundreds of billions of pounds. And believe me, I can tell you, there isn't the labour or the bricks or the tiles to allow that to happen. I don't know what the gilt markets are going to say, the bond markets, when they see how much money he'll have to borrow for this. But unsurprisingly, of course, the thing that he could cut, in fact, there are a number of things he could cut to be sensible, including foreign aid, asylum payments and so on. But the big one, of course, is the £300 billion that this country spends on welfare and benefits every year.
Well,
he's already ruled it out.
I just want to
ruled it out.
But before we, because I'd like to go to. Yeah, he could. Well, he could. I think that would be
But he's not going to do anything
for him. But we did find him earlier on. We sent Chopper out. Chopper's managed to doorstep him. Here, let's have a look.
Hi, Andy. Good to see you. Can we quick? Are you ready for government? Good to see you. Are you ready for government?
I'm excited, actually, is what I am, by the reaction that I've had to the speech that I made earlier this week. Yeah. It's been really positive. I did set out quite a big plan for change. Yeah. Feels like the country says, yeah, OK, this feels like the right thing to do, the right direction. That's certainly the direction I've felt I've had. Yeah. So going on to explain a little more.
The big plan that didn't include debt, the NHS, immigration, defence. I mean, I could go on. This just was devolution.
I mean, I think the issue will be that if you actually look into the substance of what the Burnham team are briefing, they're saying they want to reduce tax on work. You know, the tax system is unfair. So it may be that it's not increasing the tax bill overall, but reshaping it, which is clearly their kind of medium-term priority. I suspect in the short term what they need to do is stabilise the ship.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating time for Andy Burnham, isn't it, while he gets together his plan for the country, because we don't really know what it is yet. But look, there's loads more news I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment. But before that, of course, including this one here, right? An extra $750 million for anti-drone measures. Where's all the money going to come from? That's what I want to know. But first, let's get your weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Plenty of sunshine around today, and there'll be more of that tomorrow. Most places staying dry, but there will be some rain heading into Northern Ireland. The wind's not as strong tomorrow. It's quite blustery out there still today. The isobar's quite tightly packed there over northeast Scotland. Still pretty lively gusts across Shetland, but the wind's easing here through the night. Elsewhere, the wind's pretty light. Most places dry, just a few showers coming into western parts of Scotland. Otherwise, largely clear skies, and that will allow the temperatures to dip down to 10 to 13, 14 Celsius. So a fresher night, certainly across the south, compared to last night. And a fine day to come on Friday, certainly for the vast majority across England and Wales. As for Scotland, well, much of the east will be dry with sunny spells, but in the west, quite a bit of cloud, certainly initially, and a few showers coming in here. Nothing too heavy, but it will be a little bit damp. Much of Northern Ireland starting dry and bright, but any sunshine disappearing as the cloud starts to approach from the south. Most of England and Wales, a mixture of sunny spells and patchy cloud, and we won't see a great deal of change here through the day. That thicker cloud, though, across the Republic of Ireland, just edging northwards, so turning a bit damp and drizzly in the south of Northern Ireland by lunchtime, and then that rain spreading in across most of Northern Ireland by the afternoon. Some of that getting into the Isle of Man, southwest Scotland, and perhaps the odd spot of drizzle through Anglesey as well. A few showers in western Scotland, but otherwise most places dry and a bit warmer than today, 22 to 25 degrees more widely over England and Wales, maybe 27 Celsius. We'll continue with thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Saturday across western Scotland in particular. Some patchy rain possible for northern England and Northern Ireland too. Again, much of the south dry and fine. And that's pretty much how Sunday shapes out. Sunny spells across the south, some rain at times in Scotland. It is going to get warmer though.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Do you remember Keir Starmer's former chief advisor, Morgan McSweeney? Well, apparently he's told the iPaper Labour weren't prepared for power before winning their landslide. Tell us something we don't know, Morgan McSweeney, but we will dig into it either way. Pubs are going to be open till 5 a.m, the best thing I think Keir Starmer's ever done, which says a lot about his time in power. Spending cuts to fund defence plans is going to cost us 10,000 jobs. And is Andy Burnham going to raise your taxes? That's the big concern. We've been doorstepping him today, so I'll play some footage of that. And there's a not very flattering image of Nicola Sturgeon on the front page of the Mail. Lots to come.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Patrick Christys Tonight's Late Edition. Breaking tonight, the UK is talking to Pakistan as to whether to deport a grooming gang leader who was released from prison today, according to The Times. Meanwhile,
what I was able to announce today, as a result of my pressure and the pressure of the local parish council, and credit to them, and local residents, is that the current arrangements that will allow more asylum seekers over the next few days has been put on hold.
well, it's a huge GB News exclusive that's broken tonight. A migrant housing estate, so-called Migrant Street, by the way, that was dubbed by the national media. Well, that has been put on hold, with the local MP telling our reporter the decision to house asylum seekers in the village will be reviewed by ministers. A massive victory for local people. That I met them yesterday. They are going to be over the moon. I think they even said they're going to have a street party. Also, that was footage of Keir Starmer resigning. Sorry, no, it wasn't. That is pubs being able to stay open until 5 a.m. for England's next World Cup game. And of course, this is all thanks to the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, perhaps his most popular thing he's ever done. And guess who's got married? A moment. Joining me on the panel this evening, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Matthew Larzer, and GB News superstar Josh Howie. And look who